Okay, so the final part is to actually fill up the cube array. Okay, so it's similar to before, so you can use, in fact, rather than type it out, I'll just copy the for loop that we have here. This one's going to be slightly different, because we're actually now going to fill up the cube color array. But this time it won't be with a random range of numbers, it will be random colors. If I just get rid of that, so it will be cube color. And you may have seen this before, but I think we actually did it with hex numbers. But basically, the colors that we'll be using is RGB. So we're looking at red, green, and blue. So we're looking at how strong the red, green, and blue colors are going to be. Okay, so we go back to the code. Now, we're actually going from 0 to 1. The F means float. A float is a number like 0.2, that would be a float. It could be 4.5, that would be a float. An integer is just a whole number, so that's an integer. That's a float. 4.2 is a float, 4 is an integer. So what we need to do is, so we're saying any number between 0 and 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, so you're getting the value of the red. Okay, so you're just choosing a random number between 0 and 1, or a random float value between 0 and 1. So I'm going to, okay, should be able to actually just copy that, put a comma in, put another comma, and then do something like that. That should work now. I'll just correct that. Right, this actually is quite important because what I've done here, I'm just before I compile it, that should be I. Okay. The reason that should be I, if we kept that at 0, all it's going to do is affect the cube that is at number 0. Okay, or is it? So the only one it would affect would be that cube there. Okay, so that's the only one that any of this code would affect. If we change that to an I, then what you're doing is you're going through the whole length of the array, okay, and then you're doing something with it. Okay, so I'm just going to, I'll save that and compile it. Before I do save it and compile it, equals, I probably need to put new color. I think that would be that. Okay, I'll just see file and save. You won't actually, okay, it's okay. So you won't actually see any difference yet, but the final step, so what we've now done is those 3 arrays. So height, width, and color. Those 3 arrays now have values in them. So they now have, so that array of cube width now has a random number between 5 and 10. Okay, so it has an array of 20 different numbers between 5 and 10. Now the final bit is you're actually going to, like we did earlier, you're now going to affect the cube array itself. Okay, so you're going to do, so what we're doing is, so it's, actually you could just copy that. This time we're actually doing, so it's mycubes.length, it's this one. So this is the array that we want to work through. So it's, okay, mycubes.length. Okay. Okay, so it would be my cubes So what we're going to do is transform the width and the height. So I think, yeah, we're going to change the width and the height. Dot transform. Okay. So what you could actually do is I'll just copy the rest of that. That's what we used before. Now this time, this is going to be the X, this will be the width, and this one will be the height, because it's the Y. Okay, so what we would do is we're going to take the cube width, so we're going to say cube width, and then we would do cube height. Okay. Actually, I think that should be, I'll keep that one as 10. I think that's X, Y, and Z. Okay. Right. Cube heights. Okay. Actually, that should work. If you are still watching this video after, then well done. The thing is, with this one, I don't want to put the code up because I actually want you to practice actually typing a for loop in yourself. If I click on play, what we should have is a random, oh, it has worked. So you have got random heights, random Z values, so it's going backwards. So that some of the cubes are longer than the others, some are slightly taller than some of the others. So it has actually affected. So it has worked. Okay, so you have used, so we're actually changing the dimensions of each of those cubes in that array called myCubes, which is up here, the first thing, the game object. What you could then do is actually then, as we've got the array of color, just try and change the color. So again, it would be myCubes. Okay, this time we're changing the color. So you could copy that, and you're changing it to cube color. Right. Cube color is the name. Okay, so actually, if I save and compile, and then when we click on game, if it hasn't made sense, I mean, this is probably even a bit more complicated than it need be because we're using an array to affect an array. Lovely, it's worked. Fantastic. So it has actually worked. So you've got a random array of colors, okay, and random heights and widths, which you have used to change an array of cubes. Basically, as long as you understand what is going on here. If you don't, the best thing is to go back to Codecademy. Even better, again, tried Code Sculpture, which is the other thing that we did with Python. We're going to come back to Python anyway, but so we're going to go over for loops again. But okay, congratulations if that has worked.